How much it costs to give birth in America? $44,318.41.
Here's how much it costs to have a baby in America.
More specifically, in Nashville, Tennessee.
$738,360 freaking dollars.
For a grand total of $41,831.49.
So this was near and dear to my heart because me and Samantha recently went through this and I was shocked at how much it costs to have a kid in America. And let's dive into this. I want to hear your thoughts down below. What did it cost for you to have a child in America? Did you have insurance? Did you not? Did you think the system was just mind-bending? Let's get right into this.
Mela Romero, that's yours.
How much it costs to give birth in America? $44,318.41. I had my little guy 3 weeks ago, so they definitely wasted no time sending me that bill. I had a vaginal birth with epidural, no complications, and I was in the hospital for about 2 days. So I'm gonna break everything down for you guys and show you guys how much everything costs and how much my insurance did cover. A private 1-bed room and board was $10,100. Pharmacy was $89.40. Laboratory was $859. My epidural was $1,845. Labor room and delivery was $10,275. Specialty services was $585, and then other services was $1,347. And that's just one bill. We have multiple bills to go through, guys. So my insurance did cover $20,353.62. And then I also still have to pay my doctor who delivered my baby. So that was $4,395.85. And that's with insurance already. I'm not sure exactly how much it would have been without insurance. Then I did get another like epidural bill, and this is just for the doctor, not the epidural itself, and that is $2,060.86. And then lastly, baby boy also gets a bill too, and his bill is $12,761.30, and this is without insurance. We're still waiting for him to process on our insurance, so for now this is the cost without it. And if you're curious on how much we pay for insurance for our family of 5 now, it's $2,500 a month. We originally were paying $2,138.48 for just the 4 of us. But other than that, that is how much it costs to give birth in America.
It was truly shocking when we had little Jack. I think our bill was $42,000, no complications, an extra stay, 24-hour observation, very clean, had an epidural, didn't work. she was mad about that. And, you know, the nurses were great. The hospital stay was great. Stayed on a little bitty bed next to her. But at $42,000. And I just thought to myself, how can they expect people to have kids in America for $42,000? Who can afford that? Like, how many people can just write a check for $40,000? We had insurance, covered everything though.
So I've had a couple of people reach out and ask me what it cost us to have a little baby. Self-pay, because we make too much to qualify for Medicaid, but also cannot afford my husband's insurance for his work, which is going to be like, I think we were quoted $400 a week. We can't do that. So we live in Mississippi, and so before you even go to the hospital, we signed a contract at our OB office, and it was for $3,400 just for my OB appointments. That includes my ultrasounds, my labs, and my appointments. And then we had to pay another $275 out of pocket for a circumcision before we went to the hospital. So already we paid, what is that, $3,675 before we got to the hospital. And then my epidural was $3,000, and it didn't even work. And he tried to stick it in my back 5 times, and it still didn't take. But you still have to pay $3,000. I know, because I called and asked. Then the hospital bill just for my room was $2,217. That's after they knock off like a discount for self-pay. No, I lie. The $2,217 was for the pediatrician that did his like hearing tests and stuff, which he never went to the nursery. He stayed in the room with us the whole time, and still somehow was $2,217. And then for the delivery, it was $3,513. Just for her to be there 15 minutes for me to push my baby into her hands, it is almost $4,000. Which I'm thankful for, but Lord. And then there's another charge for $702, not sure what it's for. But in total, the hospital bill was $6,434 plus the $3,000, so that's $9,434 for the hospital, plus the $3,400 before the hospital. So, and the circumcision, about 15 grand. Yeah, but if we're gonna worth it, we'll just be paying the hospital bill for a while.
I mean, a lot of complications in childbirth can really be a financial burden on people. And, you know, I just have a really hard time with children not getting the care they need. And we pay for so many other things in this country that I think a child coming into this world should be paid for. And I don't know how we can grow as a country without having children. I mean, the birth rate's already below replacement, and it's not getting any better. I just like the burden. There should not be such a burden on having a child. I remember my parents telling me, or my grandma telling me, how expensive it was to have, you know, my mom, and, you know, it was $300 and they're out the door, you know, and now it's $30,000-$40,000. You have a complication, it could bankrupt you. And it's just wild, like how expensive it is. Comment down below how much it costs for you.
Shut up. I just got my hospital bill. I am 9 weeks postpartum, and I thought I would just share with you all what I'm paying for and how much I'm paying to have a baby in the United States at a hospital. So, for your reference, I had a natural birth for the most part. I did get an epidural, but I went into labor naturally. Did not have to be induced. No complications with myself or my son other than a tear on my part, so I did have to be stitched up. But other than that, nada. So let's just walk through here. Room and nursing service, $7,428. Supplies, $339. Anesthesia, I believe this is my epidural, $5,442. Labor and delivery, pushing out my baby, my baby, $17,852. Just to squeeze. Laboratory, $2,045. Respiratory therapy. I genuinely don't know what that would be, but apparently I owe $356 for it. Treatment room. Tell me how that's different than anything else. $3,982. And then pharmacy. So, ibuprofen, Tylenol, stool softener. $4,387.49. Most expensive ibuprofen I've ever heard of. For a grand total of $41,831.49. Yeah. That's insane. Thank the Lord we have insurance. I will be paying $2,175.50. But what? Even that is like to push out a baby? Gracious me. Well, there you go.
Here's how much it costs to have a baby in America.
More specifically, in Nashville, Tennessee.
So we're gonna start with the ultrasound that we had to get a couple days before Aspen. So that ultrasound cost us $2,067.85.
Just to make sure the baby was okay.
And now onto my actual hospital stay. So we stayed for just under 3 days.
So whatever the observation room is, we got charged $413.65. No clue what that is.
My guess is maybe triage. You know, they were observing me.
The recovery room cost us $2,702.45. A hospital stay, I don't know how that's different, but that one cost us $4,438. The emergency room cost us $1,932.90. And I don't know what the laboratory is either, but that cost us an additional $1,439.20.
The only thing I could think of with the laboratory is like maybe like my IV that I had. I don't know. But then we go into labor and delivery. So this one is the one where I would expect it to be the most expensive because that's clearly why we're there. We got charged $10,593.40 for that one. And then our anesthesia. So my epidural cost us more than anything else. That one was...
I will say this, I almost passed out watching the epidural. You know, I've seen a lot of things in life, okay? Been to war, okay? That epidural, like I almost passed out watching that thing go in. I don't know if it was because it was 3 o'clock in the morning. I don't know what it was, but holy smokes. Sticking that big old needle into the spine. Whoa, man, that was rough.
$14,446.15.
Was it worth it?
Yes. Yes. We also had a pharmacy and supply cost. So pharmacy cost $2,007.25. For supplies, $565.03. So the grand total for everything came out to $33,000.
Is it just me or does that sound excessive? Excessive as in, why is there that much burden on a family to have a child? That is bringing something into the world that this society must have to endure. We can spend money for everything else, but not on childbirth. And there are a lot of people going to say, oh, well, you know, medical, you shouldn't have to pay for somebody else's medical. It's a child, okay? We got plenty of money for war, but none for the poor. You know, it's just like...
$11.73.
But that was just for our stay. We also had to pay for Aspen, our newborn daughter, to be in the hospital.
So her hospital stay, to stay with us in the room that we also paid for, was $4,008.
Our complete hospital bill cost $37,019.73.
Luckily, we have insurance, but insurance only helps so much. So how much we have to pay out of pocket to have a baby in America is $11,558.93. Was it worth it? No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. Yes.
Comment down below if you're a medical professional or a biller or anything like that on your opinion. Are you for this or against this? Do you think that the federal government should compensate you some way? Maybe a tax credit, maybe a tax deduction on a childbirth. And they're going to say, well, you get a child tax credit. $2,000 or $3,000 is not doing this, okay? Like, what is the answer to this? Because here's the end result of this. If we do not have children, we do not have a future. This country will not exist inside a generation and a half without children. This country must get people to have kids above the rate they're having them now in order for society to be productive, for the economy to grow, for the military to be there, to really do anything. And we are not having this conversation in this country. We just think like it's not existing. Well, in Europe, it's a real deal. In South Korea, it's a real deal. In North Korea, it's a real deal. Look, in Japan could cease to exist as a nation in 3 generations. Like, they are not having enough people to replace the people that are already there. We got to really think about this. Because what I do know is there will be a point, especially with the economy we're in right now, that people are educated people, young people, striving hard, working hard, trying to pay down debt, trying to, get a house, try to do everything correctly. They're not going to have the money to have children. 3, 4, 5 children. Those days, I don't know if they're sustainable in the future. Now, I think was it Medicaid or Medicaid that will come in and pay for a lot of a child's birthing. But that's if you don't make enough money. So if you make money, if you're in that gap, okay, you got to pay for it out of pocket. Now, I saw plenty of really expensive cars in the parking lot, and I know they were getting that Medicaid kickback, okay? And I'm just like, because they operate a business, and they run it into the ground, and they show very little profit, and they're beneath their actual showable income on their tax return is so low that they qualify for these programs. Now, is that okay? I don't know, but I saw some $100,000 SUVs that I know were tax deductions, and they didn't pay that much out of pocket. And for those that are really for those that make just over the hump, have to pay for this times 3, man, that's a college education. Like, I don't know if it's sustainable. That's why people are not having kids anymore. Like, it's going through the floor. I'll put the chart like right here.
You stay? Do you guys want to know how much it is? Do you want to have a conversation about the price? $738,360 freaking dollars. Almost $1 million. And then I decided to take a look through the itemized bill because they sent every single little thing that they charged for. And I swear there's things that they didn't do. And I swear there's things that they're overcharging for. For example, I noticed on the bill that there is a little tiny tube of Aquaphor that they gave me that I actually still have. $25. $25 for a tiny tube of Aquaphor that I thought the nurse was just giving me to be cute and give it for free. No, ma'am. They made sure to charge every single little thing. Damn. Like, that is crazy.
So I'm 100% on the side of having a child in the hospital. There's so many things that could happen that is outside of anything I've ever thought of. Those women are so brave. The nurses, the doctors, the women having the babies. It's like going into a combat zone with all the screaming, okay? And I think that doctor being there, the nurses being there was needed. Now, I just don't know if the amount of money it costs is affordable for people anymore. You know, especially if you get laid off, lose your insurance, your wife's pregnant, now what? Like, I just, have a hard time with some things that we pay for in our society and some things we don't. That's like, for a young couple to get $1 million bill for a child to be born, but yet we got money for Tomahawk missiles and a bunch of stuff to go blow up some stuff in a desert. I've seen it all. The money wasted. That little child should be taken care of in America. And I don't know where I fall on the whole universal medical. I just know we spend money recklessly on a lot of stupid things. It could go in a better place. And the more I go down the rabbit hole with a lot of these videos and I see everybody's situations, I'm just like, I have a hard time with certain things because I know politicians waste money in so many different ways. And why our medical system, the way it's set up as far as financially, it's such a big machine to try to change and fix, and it would take many years to fix this. Comment down below if you have a thought on how to do that. That's how we learn from each other, is discourse, arguing, left, right, up, down. But I have a real hard time babies, kids not getting medical treatment, or families not getting medical treatment. I can see abuse and I can see things like that. But basic needs, childbirth, it's a basic need of all society. And going into debt for a child coming in this world, I have a real hard time with. So comment down below your thoughts. I'm trying to do my thoughts out here, but it just shouldn't cost that much to have a child in America. How much does it cost overseas? Anybody out there? Overseas, how much does it cost to have a child in England or Europe or Asia? And I guarantee you it's not like it here is in the United States. $40,000, that's a vehicle. Heck, I paid $60,000 for my house. That'll never happen again. But it just seems like, what are we doing here? See you guys later.